January 7th. Okay. And so I'm gonna kind of summarize it, just an overview and lay a foundation for what this strategy is about. Basically, what all we're saying is that we want to live as long as we possibly can in the wellness zone. And the wellness zone is where the body heals, repairs, and maintains itself. Um, and when you slip into chronic disorders, then you're out of the wellness zone and you're in the chronic disorder zone. So what we want to do is stay out of the chronic disorder zone. And what we're maintaining is that to do that, you have to take nutritional supplements. Okay. Now, so what is perfect health? Perfect health is all the cells functioning properly, because cells are what makes your body work. And if your cells are malfunctioning, then they're not carrying out their role properly. So sickness is too many malfunctioning cells. So this is just kind of an illustration of that. Your body can handle a certain number of malfunctioning cells because they have an oversupply of the cells, but at some point, the body cannot meet the needs of the body. The cells can't meet the needs of the body because there weren't enough that are functioning properly. So when we get down to the the issue of what leads to malfunctioning cells, I created this chart. And to start here with perfect health, and perfect health, I said, is all cells are functioning properly, but basically your body could get by with a small portion of your cells malfunctioning. So if you start with perfect health, what can cause malfunctioning cells? Well, there's three pathways that I've identified here. There's pathogen and free radicals, and there's toxins, and then there's nutritional deficiencies and an overactive immune system and an acidic body core. I want to talk about each one of these separately. So let's look first on these pathogens and free radicals. This is what your immune system is really designed to handle pathogens and damage done by free radicals. So the pathogens and free radicals, when they get into your body, will increase the number of malfunctioning cells, and that will lead to acute health problems. But your immune system should, if your immune system is functioning properly, it should correct those health problems, and so the damaged cells are repaired and replaced, and you're back up to good health again. On the other hand, over here you got toxins, and in my opinion, a toxin is anything that the body can't use. Okay? So if the body can't use it, the body basically kind of treats it as a toxin. But there are toxins that have a worse effect than others. There are some that basically have no effect, and there's some that have a pretty heavy effect. But but the toxins will increase the number of malfunctioning cells. Uh, now the way that you get rid of that is that the body has a cleansing um, pathway to do it. And every time that you're not eating, your body is really kind of fasting and it's getting rid of that. So the two pathways to really get rid of toxins are doing the cleanses and fasting. And if the toxins are removed, then your cells are back up to good health again. So those are the two ways that a normal body will function with in the wellness zone. That is, the body will heal, repair, and renew itself. Now, but here's where you get into the chronic health problems, because for cells to function properly, they have to have the nutrients that they need in order to function properly. And so if you don't supply the cells with the nutrients that they need, that will cause the cells to malfunction. Now, I've also got here an overactive immune system. That an overactive immune system is really a malfunctioning immune system. Basically, that's malfunctioning cells. An acidic body core is um, leads to a, a, it inhibits the transfer of oxygen from the blood cells, from the blood vessels to the cells. So what you're doing is with an acidic body core, you're starving the cells of oxygen. So all those three things will lead to an increase in malfunctioning cells. And because the immune system can't handle a nutritional deficiency, so what happens is that if your cells are malfunctioning because of a nutritional deficiency, then the daughter cells that they make will also malfunction, and the connective tissue that they make will be defective. Okay, and they in turn lead to more malfunctioning cells, and that's then increasing the percentage of malfunctioning cells, which leads to chronic health problems. Okay, so that's a general pathway. Um, So, chronic deficiency of one or more nutrients will lead to an increasing population of malfunctioning cells, and that leads to chronic health problems. So that's this graph over here. So as your number of malfunctioning cells increases, you're moving farther and farther to the right. So that raises the question. That's kind of the foundation of the thought process and the process of the body. So that raises the question, well, is there a strategy that should evolve as a result of that, or that you can use in order to maintain wellness? So what I've put together this strategy, uh, I'm going to this is going to be the focus of what leads to nutritional supplements, but for an effective wellness strategy. You want to ensure an effective immune system. Okay. You want to minimize damage by free radicals and pathogens. Now the what you want, the immune system will deal with pathogens and damage by free radicals. But if you can deal with those things before they cause damage, then what you're doing is that you're helping the body deal with those things without having to go through the immune system. So you're basically reducing the amount of load that you're putting on the immune system to handle those kind of damages. So that's another strategy is to try to reduce free radical damage and pathogen damage before it gets to the point where the immune system has to be employed. And thirdly, you want to eliminate toxins by fasting and cleansing. Okay, so any way that you can eliminate toxins, that's good. Now, fourth thing that you got to have is that uh, you got to support the body's ability to renew itself. Now, I'm gonna get into talk each one of these separately. So, and then the fifth thing is exercise. Now, exercise is important, but it's not one of the things that I'm going to talk about tonight. I'm going to talk about these other four things. Okay. So what I want to do, I want to split this into two um, categories. The body's ability to heal, repair, and renew itself. There's this function that's the ability to heal and repair, and then there's the ability to renew. Okay, so the body is constantly renewing itself, and over a period of like 10 years, you got a brand new body basically than what you had the previous 10 years. That's a different role than this ability to heal and repair. So looking at the ability to heal and repair, that's where these categories in. You want to have an effective immune system. You want to minimize the damages by free radicals and pathogens. You want to eliminate toxins by fasting and cleansing. And then you got this thing right here. The effects of aging actually reduces the body's ability to heal and repair. So taking that into account, there's ways that you can offset the effects of aging. So, um, and then this uh, the effective immune system, there's a way that you can actually support the immune system's ability to heal and repair. Okay, so we'll get into that. Now let's look at this column over here. The ability to renew, that depends on all cells functioning properly. And so the role is to keep all your cells functioning properly. That's the objective. And the only way to do that, well, it's critical that you have to provide adequate nutrients for your cells to function properly. And that's where this comprehensive nutritional program is going to come in. That's important for this thing, but it's also important for these things over here. So let's look at each one of these separately. For the immune system, signs of a malfunctioning immune system are autoimmune disorders, frequent and prolonged infections, environmental allergies, and cancers. Um, and the reason for those things is almost always a miscommunication between cells. In other words, if the immune system cells don't communicate properly with the other cells, they make bad decisions. Okay, and the miscommunication is many times caused by a deficiency of polysaccharides. Now we know we have a deficiency of polysaccharides in our diet, and so that is a reason to supplement with polysaccharides. But that's what you need to do. You need to supplement with polysaccharides in order to ensure an effective immune system. So now, how can we support the body's ability to heal and repair? Um, uh, we want a good way to do that is to nurture generation of stem cells, because the immune system uses stem cells to repair damaged tissue. And there's CD34 for endothelial cells. It comes from flaxseed. CD131 comes from flaxseed. CD14 for neurons comes from the aloe leaf. And CD45 for spinal cord, retina, and central nervous system comes from lion's mane mushroom. So now you want to minimize damage by free radicals. And really what we're talking about is uh, dealing with free radicals before they have a chance to cause any damage. So ideally what you want to do is neutralize free radicals. Now you have free radicals inside the cells and you have free radicals outside the cells. And they are often two different categories. For inside the cells, the body's natural antioxidant is glutathione, and a precursor for glutathione is NAC or cysteine. Okay, outside the cells, just antioxidants in general, and so vitamin C is a good one. Endurance is one, and there are many different antioxidants. The thing is with antioxidants, if they just provide like an electron, when they provide an electron, they become a free radical. So that's called a cascading free radicals. You use one antioxidant to give a free radical to another, but then that one that just gave up the free radical becomes that antioxidant that gave up an electron becomes a free radical. Okay, so endurance is one of those that they have a lot of electrons that they can give up. Okay, now minimize damage by pathogens, and you know uh, if the that when the, for the immune system, it makes antigens for pathogens that it recognizes. But when there's a new pathogen that comes into existence, such as what's been happening recently with the COVID, then the body doesn't recognize that, and that pathogen can cause damage before the immune system has a chance to build antibodies to react to that. But there is a way that you can deal with those pathogens before they are to help the immune system so that the pathogens don't cause much damage before the immune system can deal with it. So to inhibit pathogen proliferation, colloidal silver will do that. Now, one of the things that colloidal silver does is um, prevent viruses and bad bacteria from proliferating. Okay, so the what when COVID came around, Dottie and I started taking the colloidal silver multiple times a day, and the thing to do, we will spray it up our nostrils and coat our sinus cavities and let it run into our throat. Okay, and so what's happening is that where the virus enters your body is typically through your nasal passages. So if you coat your mucus lining of the sinus cavities, that's where you get a chance to inhibit the virus before it can cause damage to your body. So we've been doing that ever since COVID came around, and neither Dottie and I have contracted COVID, and neither one of us got the shots either. So uh, we do that. We feel pretty confident. It's just a way of dealing with pathogens that the body doesn't recognize before they have a chance to cause a problem.
And swallowing a little bit of it. Take in.
Yeah, it takes some internally too.
Right.
Now, you should also eliminate toxins by fasting and cleansing. There are lots of cleanses on the market, but you need to cleanse your cells, you need to cleanse your liver, you need to cleanse your colon, and you do those things with fasting, okay, or with cleanses, okay. And now offset the effects of aging. Now, oh, aging. One of the effects of aging is declining hormone production. And you begin to see that maybe in the mid 30s or so. Hormone production begins to decline at age 25. Um, uh, so at some point, it would help if you could um, help the body generate more hormones that it needs. Okay. So you do that by taking a hormone precursor. Okay. Now, also at about age 25, the body begins to decline producing stem cells. And with proper nutritional supplements, you can stimulate stem cell production. Okay. And the increasing acidity of the body core, the body has the ability to buffer excess acidity, but at about age 45, somewhere in that time frame, that buffering ability is depleted. And what happens is that at after about age 45, if you don't do anything to deal with the excess acidity, your the acidity of your body core will begin to build up. And so a way to deal with that is to take alkaline supplements. So let's talk about a comprehensive nutritional program. You need to eat a variety of foods rich in green vegetables, okay? Because the green vegetables um, have the most nutritional content, but they also are alkaline, okay? And lean toward low glycemic foods because we tend to get too much sugar, and the higher glycemic foods generate the sugar. Okay, take supplements. You need to take supplements because there are some deficiencies of nutrients in the food supply, and many of us don't have a good diet. We just have poor diet choices, and that leads to deficiency. So the supplements will offset those deficiencies, and it will also offset the effects of aging. Okay. And it also minimizes damages by free radicals and pathogens and toxins. Okay. And ensure the availability of adequate and sufficient nutrients. Okay. And also address unknown effects. So that's my strategy. And before I get into recommendations about nutritional supplements, I'm going to give Dr. Reg a chance to make a comment.
Well, I would say that nearly every slide I've had multiple comments to make that what you're saying, there is a scientific knowledge and basis to support each thing you're saying. One of the things I really focused on, you kept saying about cleansing toxins from the body. Well, that's one of the big roles that our liver plays. There are multiple enzyme systems in our liver to take toxic molecules and hook them to other molecules that neutralize their toxic effects. When we talk about toxic effects, you pointed out about the colloidal silver that interferes with the metabolism of bacteria and viruses. And the silver ion molecule is toxic to their metabolism. And few people realize that before the antibiotic era, that nearly every baby born had colloidal silver put in the eyes to retard the potential of the coming through the birth canal to have E. coli and various colonic bacteria that would grow in the eye because of the moisture and warmth. But by having the colloidal silver put in the eyes, this kept the babies from getting infections and having damage to their eyes. And this was very, very inexpensive, very effective. Pardon me. But unfortunately, with the antibiotic area and the greater expense, you're just unfortunately kind of out of style if you're still using colloidal silver, and the pharmaceutical industry promotes using antibiotics, which are much more expensive and not nearly so lack of toxicity to the child or the newborn, but is terribly toxic to the infectious organisms. And repeatedly, you kept talking about free radical damage. I really question how many people really know what you're talking about when you say free radicals. And I hold in my hand two uh, magnets, plate magnets that small ones when you were a child, they probably had a black Scotty dog and a white Scotty dog sitting on these magnets, and you could take them in your hand, you could feel the attraction to them, and then you could turn them and you could feel the repulsion of the magnetism of these magnets. Well, few people realize that compounds in metabolism, these nutrient molecules, and particularly in every cell, there's mitochondria that are kind of the powerhouses that take carbon dioxide that we breathe out. All animals do, and humans too, and also in fermentation and decay, carbon dioxide, which is one carbon atom hooked to two oxygen molecules. And the oxygen molecules are negatively charged, and the carbon particle is positively charged. And there are two oxygen molecules hooked to one carbon molecule, but the mitochondria take the carbon that is in CO2 and hook them together with carbon to carbon bonds. when they do this, and it's a skeleton of molecules that make up the structure of amino acids, fatty acids, and also the carbohydrates, depending on what kind of additional ions are hooked to them. In other words, whether it's nitrogen and hydrogen atoms for the amino acids, or just hydrogen for the chains of fatty acids, or the combination of oxygen and hydrogens that are hooked to the basic chain of carbon to carbon bonds with a little bit of the energy that in photosynthesis that hooks carbon atoms together that the importance of it is that when the cell, the mitochondria, takes the carbon molecules and hook them together, it releases two negatively charged oxygens, which are free radicals with a negative charge, and they will attach to any structure inside the cell, like the membranes, if they have a positive charge of a molecule anywhere in their structure, well, this negative oxygen will attach to it, and this alters the function of the membrane within the cell. And people don't feel as good and don't have as much energy and don't sleep as well and don't digest as well when you have these free radicals attaching to the membranes inside the cell. Well, lo and behold, in the code of life that is in DNA, our cells, if you have the nutrient molecules in the diet, make glutathione, which binds to these negatively charged oxygen molecules so that they don't attach to membranes in the cell. But that's not the end of the story. If you have enough of these free radical oxygen molecules, they attach to the chains of DNA, or nucleic acids that make up the chromosomes that have the information coded in them to control cellular assembly of nutrient molecules to make bioactive compounds that carry on the biochemistry and physiology of life. And if those negative ions attach to the nucleic acids in the chromosomes, you get what is called a mutation, which means an alternation of the information that is coded in that DNA. And the worst mutations lead to leukemia, lymphoma, and cancer. And so the glutathione, that the provisions are made in the chromosomes to bind to these free radicals. But in addition, in particularly your green leaf nutrients and your fruits and vegetables, there are molecules there that, particularly in the serum that is pumped around by the blood, that also binds to these free radicals and keeps them from attaching to the membranes in the cell, and keeps them from attaching to the DNA. And so in my hands, I have these little bar magnets because you can see them. But these molecules or ions, like the carbon dioxide with two oxygens, you can't see carbon dioxide. The molecules are so small, but yet they have these charges on them that cause them to be called free radicals. And when they attach to something, this is called oxidative damage potential. And this is all, it's just incredible how the mitochondria generates energy from the carbon bonds that trapped energy from the sun in a very narrow blue-green part of the spectrum. If you put a prism to the white light that comes from the sun, well, the energy that's brought to Earth is stored in photosynthesis by that energy striking chlorophyll, which is inside of plant molecules. that allow the carbon molecules to be attached with a little bit of energy there that the mitochondria transfers to a phosphate molecule, which has one of the nucleic acids in the genetic code called adenine. That's one of the four nucleic acids. And with three charges, you get adenosine triphosphate. And that is the energy molecule that is used to move muscles and actually are used in the brain to create the electrical activity of the neurons to think and create. And all of this that Earl has put together with all these, what I would say, more common words that we use, have a scientific basis that is well known, that emphasizes the importance of more comprehensive nutrition, which is to provide to the cells an inventory, a very broad inventory from the plant kingdom of fruits and vegetables, nuts, and berries that are all used to carry on the metabolism inside the cells for optimal health. And if you go on the web, you'll find out that it'll state there that if you try to teach me a fact, I'll forget it. Number two, if you try to teach me principles, I will struggle to properly apply them when faced with that challenge. But if you tell me a story, I've got it forever. And this curve that is on Earl's book that has the black line that comes down and enters the disability zone of failing health in the 50s to 60s, which is the normal course if you don't pay any attention to proper nutrition and exercise. And I want to mention that this is very important because the National Geographic Society gave a series of grants to Buettner that was to look for places on Earth where people had longevity and in good health. So that's the red line in his graph on the cover of his book, that you go more years out to close to 90 and 100 years without entering the disability zone. You stay in the wellness zone with optimal nutrition and exercise. And this has been observed by grandmothers and mothers for decades, as I point out that nearly everybody has heard that if you want to be healthy, eat different colors of fruits and vegetables. Well, that's emphasizing very practical terms that you need a broad dietary intake to increase the inventory for what the cells use under the code of DNA to assemble compounds that are bioactive to run the biochemistry and the physiology of life for normal health. But in addition, in these grants for the blue zones of the National Geographic Society, a common denominator in all these areas that they found people living into their 90s and above 100 was number one, a plant-based diet, very high in fruits, vegetables, nuts, berries. And number two, activity. And in most of these blue zones, they are isolated islands or peninsulas where there's low population density. And so French fried franchises don't go where there's a low population. And these people have gardens and they eat plant matured fruits and vegetables, which allows the genes in the plant to put the nutrients into the plant ripened fruits and vegetables. And that's a part of the importance of the blue zones that they have found over and over again, which I hope because of National Geographic magazine and the fact that they have published 5 books. About twice a week, I get a email from the foundation from the National Geographic telling us some feature of the benefits of a high plant diet and activity. And I might add that in these blue zones, like the first one that they identified in the island of Sardinia, that's to the west of Italy, the individuals up in the mountains were living very much like in Roman times. What do I mean? They didn't have electricity and they didn't have gasoline engines. And if you did anything, it was personal labor. And if you went anywhere, you walked. And that provided in their environment, which in the modern area, you got to go to a gym. I think of my grandmother used to chop wood and she would pump water with a hand thing to fill a big pot and get it hot to do the weekly wash. And then she had a board, a washboard that stuck into that pot when you got the water hot. And then you rinsed it, and the wet clothes were heavy to put on the line to drive. Well, my wife has 2 big electric things. One, she just drops the clothes in there, puts some powder in there, and the water automatically goes in from the hot water heater. And all she has to do is transfer them from the top of one inch to the side of the other one, and it's an automatic dryer. And these people in the blue zones, in their normal activity, had a wide variety of nutrition as well as activity that because they didn't have motors. And all of this supports what Earl has on his cover of his book, this red line that you go more years avoiding chronic diseases because your cells work better with broad nutrition and a wide variety of nutrient molecules to be used in cellular synthesis to make bioactive compounds that run the normal biochemistry and physiology of life. And everything that Earl has outlined in his words there that are not particularly scientific are supported by detailed science that I have spent years trying to learn and share with people. But I think his effort to translate this into everyday language is commendable, and that's what we're trying to do with that cover, like squaring the curve and looking at that red line that goes out to the 90 and 100 years that you can go in good health and longevity by the common denominators of the blue zones that the National Geographic Society has identified, that nutrition and exercise are 2 of the number 1 common denominators of all blue zones. And Earl has condensed this into these few slides, and particularly in his book, which I have read now and support what he is informing the public. And I hope you understand that everything that Earl has told you has a solid scientific basis that science and medicine is continually finding out is truth.
Thank you, Dr. Reg. I have to admit that you were referring to your grandmother who scrubbed clothes on a washboard. My mother did that. So, all right. So let's get into the supplements here. I'm recommending that the basic supplement is New Eden. Why do I recommend that? It provides a balanced profile of amino acids. It's rich in vitamin. It's got vitamins and it's rich in B complex. It's got dietary minerals. It's rich in the omega fatty acids. It's rich in polysaccharides. It has a broad spectrum of supplements, which are important for making sure your cells have what they need. It provides antioxidants and detoxifiers. Okay, so it also provides it supports the production of stem cells. Flaxseed produces the endothelial cells, the C34 and C131. The aloe leaf powder produces neurons for CD14, and lion's mane mushroom powder produces C45 stem cells, which are used for spinal cord, the retina of the eyes, and the central nervous tissues. So with that, you know, I've been taking nutritional supplements for many years, and New Eden is provides what I think is a broader spectrum of basic nutrients that the cells need. There are some others that were green oriented in the broad spectrum of greens, but they don't have the polysaccharides, and so I think the polysaccharides are critical because polysaccharides are important for the immune system, but they're also important for the connective tissue. Okay. For additional supplements, colloidal silver, which inhibits pathogen proliferation, endurance, which is an antioxidant, and but it's also an alkaline supplement. So it neutralizes excess acidity of the body core, and it's an antioxidant. And L-serine, which is basically an amino acid, but it's been found there's evidence that it reduces the incidence of misfolding of brain proteins, and that the misfolding of brain proteins seems to be one of the causes of ALS and Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. So sources for New Eden. If you go to www.wellnessquest.org and / my name, Earl. Colloidal silver, I buy it from organic.net. You can buy colloidal silver on the internet. But what I would recommend, if you're buying the colloidal silver, my preference is get the nanoparticle size and get something like 30 parts per million. Okay. Endurance, which is basically it's a very good source of alkalinity. And the thing is that it with endurance, it does not neutralize your stomach acid when you take it. Okay, but like you take alkaline water, it neutralizes the stomach acid. And L-serine, you can buy that many places, but Amazon.com has L-serine. So this is my book that Dr. Reg was talking about, and this is the graph that he's talking about. If you haven't purchased my book, I recommend. I'm getting good feedback from it. People who have read it have seemed to like it, and so you can get it. You can get it at the Amazon.com or Barnes and Noble or booksellers or the publisher, which is Author House. Okay. Now, if you bought my book and you've read it and you like it, I would appreciate if you do a book review. It helps with sales. So if you can do a book review on Amazon, I'd appreciate it. Or I'm also creating a website with the author. So if you do would like to send a review with me, I can pass that along to Author House. Okay. So future presentations, I think we'll do this one again. There was a lot in this, and it, perhaps people would like to hear it again. So next week it'll just be a repeat of this. Okay. Um, there's what's going to happen after that. We haven't